Hello, hi. I hope this works. I'm gonna say hi. Hi. Hey, Pico. Une minute. Ouais, je suis un petit chat. Tout petit minet. Hi, everyone. I see that Mikey and Lee, Cyan, Apollo, Heather, hi. It's been a while, Heather. Limancito, hi. Rena, hey. Patricia, hi. Oh, I'm so glad you got Hekala's book. Let me know if you guys can hear me, right? Just to be sure. Oh my gosh, her book is so lovely. And it's so like helpful. Hold on, let me just set up my screen right so I can have that. Oh, good grief. Okay, that should be good. Awesome. Hey, Abel and Box of Paint. Oh yeah, Hekala stuff is pretty neat. I'm always eyeing the shirts, but the t-shirts are often on a white base, and I'm not super fond of white t-shirt. Oh yeah, she's pretty awesome, and all the books made by 3D Total Publishing, they're really nice. Well, I mean, I only have 2 of them, but I love that it's not just a compendium of images from an artist. Not that those are bad, but the fact that there is a part about tutorials, and the Iraville one has a part about making handmade paints, and it's just super instructive, and you really feel like you're talking with the artist instead of just, you know, viewing all the art. It feels more like, what's the word I'm looking for? Hold on, let me search in my head. It feels more like a workshop with an artist rather than an exhibition in a museum. Hey, Inking is Joy, hi! I think Havoc is gloating. She said her pantaloons were bigger. Oh, I don't think Pico is trying to one-up. I don't think anyone can one-up Havoc on size of pantaloons. I think perhaps Pico was just showcasing hers and being like, what do you think of mine? Are they good enough? Hey, Malvina, hi! Oh, I'm a bit crackly today. Oh, I gotta share a nightmare story that happened like 15 minutes ago. This is my travel mug, the thermos mug. I don't really travel, but I love this because it's double wall insulated, so I can put water in there and it stays cool for a while. And also I can sort of close it, so if I tip it, it's not gonna make a mess. But it was on my desk, and earlier I I just grabbed it and I was like, oh, there's still water in there. I think it's fine. I'm gonna drink the water. So I pop it open, and a spider came out and crawled like on my arm super fast because it was terrified. But we were terrified as well, and I screamed. And then Mr. E also was like, what's happening? And I was like, there's a spider in my mug. And I think we're gonna have nightmares about this. Hey, Kaleo, hi. Hi, Shirley. Pico's pantaloons are perfect. I will tell her that. My sister had a ton of traveling mugs. I mean, yeah, I washed it completely. Like you can, I mean, it's a brilliantly made one, so you can like it was thoroughly washed and rinsed and, you know, all of that. But still, I'm like, I think I'm going to be wary of opening it up for a while now. Even if I know, like, I know there's no spider now, but I'm still going to be like, okay, good, no spiders. Yeah. I mean, if I can, I try to sort of grab the spiders in a pot and put them outside because, you know, they're not the worst, kind of. At least they're useful, if I can say that. But, I mean, that was a really surprising moment. Like, I'm really used to spiders. I used to be terrified of them. Like, I would see one and I would be like, I would freeze in terror, even if it was like a tiny, tiny one. And I live in the basement, so I got used to them. Now I see one and I'm like, huh, a spider. Except if it's like a surprise spider, like if it's moving on my desk suddenly and I'm like, just a surprise, you know, it's not because I'm scared, it's because I'm surprised. That was a good surprise, but also like I was about to drink from this mug and a spider came out, and that was really, really not what I wanted to see. I'm gonna try and drink from it now. I'm just making sure there is no spiders. Ugh. Yuck. It had started to make, you know, the spider's nest when they sort of make a small cocoon around them for sleeping. You might be the only one who thinks that spiders are cute in King's Joy. But yeah, the spiders are great. They eat all the other crappy bugs. But I also have Scutigera in my apartment. You know, the longer ones with plenty of legs. And I know a lot of people are terrified of those. I'm not scared of them. I mean, if they surprise me, I'm gonna be like, surprised. But when I see a Scutigera, I'm just like, oh. And I grab them and I put them outside. Oh, Cyan, you had pet spiders. That's cute. Oh no, Abel. Bigger nightmare. There has been a mouse in my room this whole week. Ew. Ew. Well, we had rats once. Yeah, the rats. That's another good story if I can share that one. But previous apartment was also a basement apartment, and the rats came up through the sewers and up the toilet and out the toilet. And there was 2 of them. And yeah, like we didn't have cats back then, so that at least there was that. So that's at least 8 years ago. But yeah, and a couple of times I saw like something like go really, really fast, like a blur of gray, and I thought it was my hair, you know, because I always have hair near my face. I was like, oh, I moved and my hair was in front of my eyes, and that's what I saw. But at some point we find rat droppings. And if there is one thing that doesn't lie, it's rat droppings or mice droppings. I mean, it means you have pests, basically. So we find the droppings and we're like, fudge. So we call the landlord and we say, hey landlord, we have at least 1 rat in the apartment. And he was like, what? And we told him that they came through the toilet. Because we heard the toilets making weird noises, and in retrospect we realized that it was the rats coming up. So yeah, then he put rat poison, and the rats eventually ate the poison and died, but they died somewhere in the apartment walls. So a couple of days later we ended up having humongous flies in the apartment, like the size of a dime. So we would grab like trash magazines and we would try to smack them like you would with you know, the thingy for tennis or badminton. And yeah, we would smack the flies, and eventually we ran out of flies to smack. And that's it. And we moved not so long after, so I don't know if there were any more pests in that specific apartment, but that one took the cake. Heather says, mice in my house equals suicidal mouse. Yeah. because, I mean, you've got cats, so. He says, my nightmare of the week is that I've misplaced my glasses somewhere in the house. Oh no! I would be terrified that they would have dropped in the trash bin without me noticing, because that's definitely the kind of stuff that would happen. So I'm just cutting up some, trying to cut up some arches, because as you can tell, I'm super prepared. Some things never change. Cat butt. Oh my gosh, you're so cute. Let's bring you closer to the camera, shall we? Did you know there's a species of tarantula that keeps small frogs as pets because the frogs ate bugs that eat the tarantula's eggs, and in turn the frog receives protection? Whoa, that's cool. Lee says, I've turned over all the absent-minded human places several times, so I'm increasingly convinced Neuron, the gargoyle dragon cat, stole my glasses and hid them. Would he? Has he stolen the glasses before? Because those are not good praise. Oh no, Havok is shedding, and Ruka is shedding too. Oh my gosh, that means so much fur. Oh, ugh. Ew, Mikey, no. Mikey says, my nightmare this week was eating too many salt and vinegar potato chips and getting one of those salt sores on my tongue. Ouch. Oh, where am I? Ew. Oh, K. Leo, that doesn't sound super fun. K. Leo says, where I'm out sitting this summer, there are creatures of some sort in the bedroom walls. I assume mammals. They're very noisy. Yikes! He says, Neuron hasn't touched my glasses before, but he does steal small items from around the house and hide them. We had a cat that did that when I was a kid. My brother's cat was a female cat, and she would steal small plush toys and folded socks, and she would carry them like her babies and hide them like under a bed somewhere. So at some point we would look under a bed or under furniture and find like a stash of small items, small soft items that she had stolen. Let's grab some stuff. This and that, and I keep losing my stuff, but I did clean up, so it means I just put it somewhere and forget where. Yep, every few months we find a horde of cat things. That's really funny. Okay, sketchbook. I got some tea. I hope you guys have tea as well, or coffee, or juice, or water. Oh, that's good. The wall mammals. Wall mammals are kind of a bit unsettling. Oh no, poor Neuron. He freaks out when we clean out his pile of drink lids and pens and keychains and socks. Aww. Science says that the Bun Bun the bunny is shedding too, and his hair is the worst. It floats and sticks to ceilings and walls. We have that problem with the cats because they have really, really fine hair. And like I said, we have spiders, so there is cobwebs. Ugh, I just spotted a spider in the corner of the wall over there. But Yeah, so the cat floof sometimes like floats up and sticks to the few cobwebs. It makes the cobwebs really easy to spot, but it feels like we like blink and suddenly there's like fur everywhere. Oh yeah, it's spring, right? That means that all the spiders are gonna come out. Oh, I am not ready for this. Definitely not ready for this. Yuck. Yikes, Lee. I hope he won't end up stepping on the glasses. That's a real nightmare. Ditto with the hairy walls, especially right above the floor. But yeah. Oh my gosh, yes, we have like, we find hairy walls everywhere, and it's like, oh, you know that the Swiffer you can use on the floor, we use it on the walls, on the ceiling, just everywhere, because it's staticky, so it grabs the fur much better. But yeah, is it shrinking? It's not shrinking that much. I cut the cardboard off a lot because I don't like when it's really close to the edge, but it's not shrinking then that much. I mean, it was really big eraser. I don't use it all that much. I don't erase a lot. If I draw something and it's wonky, I just draw some. I just try again next to it. Volunteers to kill spiders relocate. Oh. Well, if I don't have, it's not daddy long legs in here. We have like the yellow beige-ish spiders and other that are really dark and really fast. Oh, anyway, we need to talk about something else than spiders. Too soon. I will not have those fancy textures. Oh yeah, the stucco. That's just... Okay, I need to sketch something. I need to sketch what I'm going to draw so I can get somewhere eventually. Oh, inking is joy. That sounds like a nightmare. Unless you tell me you're like in Australia, where I'll be like, okay, Australia is already like the main spot of all the bugs and weird thingies. But if you tell me you're like in Canada, I will lose my S. Hey, Alexandra, hi. Those beige one think, ugh, ugh, eek. Oh, alright, I need to... Mystery suggested that I draw some of our D&D characters as cats, like I tend to do. Oh, dogs. Alexandra, you think the dogs would love to chew on a tube? Really? Apollo says, I found some schminke Rodam watercolor tubes, says for $28, and I don't know if they're authentic or not. Well, you can try them. If they perform well, you end up with great paints. And if they don't really perform well, that's a bit more weird, seeing as how schminke paints are really reliable. I'm just gonna grab some wooden here for sketching because that's a bit more visible. What's up, Pico? Oh no, Apollo, I'm so sorry. That's really not great news. Poor doggo. Ah, thank you, Patricia. I'm glad you love my my cat avatar thingy that I did for the standing desk review. I was a bit like I didn't know quite how to approach this because I was like, well, it's not like, aside from me assembling it and putting it on my desk, there's not a lot of really, well, even that's not super interesting, you know. There's not, it's not like paint where I can swatch them and showcase them and, you know, like test them and some stuff. I'm like, wait, that's kind of boring. In not boring is not the word I'm looking for. Like, it gets repetitive really fast because you're like, well, this is a desk, and that's it. So yeah, I thought I would use my cat avatar to make it a bit more interesting, and also that way I can showcase kind of stuff more easily, like the back pain and all of that. It's easier to see that stuff if I draw it on a diagram thingy than if I just, you know, say, well, I had back pain. You're like, yeah. Anyway, I'm a visual person, I think, so that also was kind of a reason why I... Oh, and I studied animation. Not that this is really thorough or even good animation, but it's not something I had to learn to make that video, so... Why is my cat licking its crotch? Well, it's a cat. What more do you want? Let's see. That's pretty awesome. I don't know if you guys can see. Oops. Okay, there. It's a couch. It says it comes with a lever that sweeps out all the cat toys. And there's like a buttload of cat toys underneath. That's pretty much the stuff. We had a cat when I was a kid. My cat when I was a kid would had sort of scratched a hole under the couch. You know, some couches have like just a layer of protection to finish it under it, but it's not exactly closed. Anyway, he had scratched a hole in there and he would go in the couch and he would stash his toys there. So at some point we moved the couch and there were like a bunch of old dried up toys coming out of the couch. That's a good one, Patricia. Patricia says, standing desks are great for editing video. It really improves your speed at jump cuts. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Dogs are so embarrassing. I mean, well, I've never had one for myself, but I know a lot of people who have dogs, and there's always a moment where they put their nose right into a stranger or a guest's crotch, or even your own crotch, and you're like, can you not? There are people here. Can you can you please not do that? And then the humping. Well, that's a whole other story as well. That's like, oh my gosh, Doggo, why are you so embarrassing? I know they're just being dogs, but I'm a cat person, so I'm like, oh my gosh, decency. I mean, yeah, sure, cats will lick their butts, but it's not as graphic, you know? And it doesn't imply anything weird, like, what are you supposed to react when a dog puts their face in your crotch? You're like, can you, no, don't. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Had a cat once that would hump things, but he was part dog cat. It's gotta be one of the least dignified thing ever. I mean, yeah, you cannot have any pretense of dignity when you hump things or sniff crotches. I can't. I just can't. Hey, Ian. There's nothing more annoying than a chihuahua that humps your foot. Ugh. Well, it's at the proper place for a kicking if need be. Like, it's easier to push away a chihuahua than a large dog, you know? I'm a rather small person, so it's not that far off that dogs are like too big for me. I'm always terrified when I see them. I'm like, oh no, what's it gonna do? It's not a cat. I have no idea what to do. Hey, Tsukaboo, hi. The cats do the butt sniffing part, though. It happens rather often here. Like, if one cat crosses the path of another cat, they will sniff each other's butt, and you're like, what? And you know, sometimes they make the face. We call it the stinky face, but it's not. It's not because it stink. It's because they want to access more information about the other they're smelling. So they open their mouth so that the smell will go through a gland and blah blah blah. But we call it the stinky face. And it's always funny when they sort of sniff each other's butt and then they make the stinky face, and we're like, well, what did you expect? You put your face in the other cat's butt. What did you expect? Oh, good luck, Apollo. I love the type of discussion we're having. I don't mind. I'm fine with it, as long as it's, you know, not too crude, if I can say that. But it still cracks me up. I don't know if I'm. Do I feel like drawing this? Yeah, not too explicit, not too crude or graphic. We're definitely at that line, I agree, but as long as we don't cross it, that's fine. I mean, worst that will happen is that this video will be demonetized or whatnot, but that's not exactly, yeah. Hey, Misha, I don't think I said hi, but I saw you come in. How's the weather in Montreal today? Pretty good, actually. It seems to be around 10 degrees Celsius and really sunny. I'm a terrible gardener, and it has reached the point where I feel like throwing seeds out there and watching things grow. I will try to get some seeds. I will try to get shiso, which is a sort of Japanese sort of parsley type. It's a big green leaf. I got the green one, but you have the red one. But I got the green big leaves. I got some shiso. I got catnip. This one I'm really excited because I think it was Tsukabu who sent me catnip once. And it did not travel really well, but there was enough of it that was intact that I could salvage it, and my cats went completely crazy over it. So I'm kind of excited to try and grow it myself here in the very little space I have outside, just to see if I can first of all succeed at it, and then bring some in and have my cats go completely buzzy over it. And I got some you know, just lawn seeds of things for bees and flowers and stuff like that, that I will try and because I'm not, this is not my apartment complex per se, but I don't think the actual landlord will mind all that much if I throw a couple of seeds on the front lawn, yeah. It's a bit patchy, you know, there's a lot of areas where there's no grass, there's nothing that really grows except for dandelions. And I always feel like it's a bit sad, and I'm like, we could easily have clover around there and, you know, a bunch of nice little plants. I really love Roman chamomile. It's one of my favorite plants, it smells so good. So I hope that I can sort of sprinkle a couple of seeds out there and have a couple of, you know, kind of nicer things that grows, even if we will mow over them. I would like that. You can buy catnip growing in pots at the grocery store and it lasts quite a while. I've not seen it. I've seen it for the cat grass. There are two types of cat greenery. You have the cat grass that is basically really young shoots of oats. And that's the kind of grass that the cats will eat and be able to digest. They won't throw it up. But it's basically like really flat grass. But you also have catnip, which is a plant that looks a bit like mint. And that grows like much higher, and I haven't seen those at the grocery store. This is difficult. I'm just a bit uninspired lately. I feel like I'm stuck in a place where, aside from Adventure Cat, which is like safe value, like it's the safe thing, for everything else I'm not so sure what I want to do, how I want to do it. So I'm a bit like good grief. Have you tried gouache before? I have. I really like gouache. I've made a couple of videos with gouache, but it's kind of, even if it's really similar to watercolor, I don't use it the same way. So, and also gouache, I don't like the way gouache dries. So I don't have a gouache palette. I have a big like box of all my tubes, and that's it. The dreaded artist block. Catnip grows really easily. Yeah, that's the thing I'm worried about. It's not that I will have a hard time growing it, is that there's quite a few outside cats in the neighborhood, so I feel like they will destroy my shoots before I can't do anything with them. I will maybe MacGyver something with some you know, like screen, the window screen thingy. I think I have a box of that. I might make a tent out of it and protect my pot of catnip with it. I don't know. Like I said, I am not the gardener type person, but I like to see things grow, so I love to just throw seeds. And one time I had like onions and garlic that sprouted, and I planted them just for fun, and they grew and then they died because it was way too hot last summer, but just for the fun of... You can also take a stem from catnip and plant. Oh. Patricia says that they found catnip at the health food store. Well, I ordered it online. There's a Canadian company that has seeds, because I really wanted shiso, and shiso is hard to find. So I got shiso from there, and I saw that they had catnip too, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna pay shipping for this, I might as well, you know, get everything I want. Oh, a cat rolling around in catnip, that would be cute. Mission Gold watercolor. I have a really nice palette that Jacqueline sent me. I think it was the Pure Pigments one. But my list of things to review is really long. It's on there. It's on there. Hey, Lana! Catnip will spread if it goes to seed, but the flowers are so pretty. Ooh. You guys are a lot more savvy about to blend stuff than me. Make sure you have some plant feeder juice. I have no idea what that is. Thing is that a cat rolling around in catnip would be so out of his brain high on the stuff. I know that it's not all cats who react the same way, but I gave the cats the envelope that Tsukabu sent that had, you know, the sample of catnip was in paper towels, in a Ziploc, in an envelope, and there were paper around it, and I gave them the envelope and they went crazy over the envelope, which had probably just trace amount of the fresh stuff on it. It was really funny because they like the dry catnip, but they basically end up just eating it, and they really went crazy over the fresh stuff. It's really funny. I love plants. Like I said, not good at growing them, but I love them. I am not one for really manicured, is that the word? But anyway, like really design plant spaces. Not that they're not pretty, but I don't have the patience to be like, hey, I'm spending the weekend just planting things in certain places to make it look pretty. I really like the approach of grabbing a handful of seeds and being like, whoosh, there you go, grow, do your thing. Oh, the flowers. Oh my gosh, I've tried, like, I didn't just sit down and right now and try to think of something to draw today. I've been thinking about what I should draw for like at least a couple of days, and I'm like, I really don't know. Okay, let's try to think of something with adventure cats, and that's always a good... Oh wait, let me grab my my stash of printed stuff. Oh! Oh no, we don't see you well. There you go. Teeny tiny cat. Yeah, I got some wildflower seeds. I got, there were two blends that I thought were pretty great. One is stuff for lawn, you know, like clover and greenery and small green things. But they had like an additional mix of wildflowers, which seemed to have like pansy, the Roman chamomile that I love so much, you know, like all kinds of tiny flowers. And I got both because it's not exactly pricey. Let me remove all the art that is not mine that I got on there. There's a bunch of art that is not mine, so I will just remove it because I don't feel super comfortable showing other people's art on stream. Is catnip basically weed for cats? Basically. Not all cats will react to it though. It's in the mint family. So it's not like a brand new plant. It's a plant from the same family as mint. But there's a compound in catnip that really works on cat. It's something like Nipelector or something, Nipelectoria, or because catnip, if I remember correctly, is something like Nipita catera. It was in my Inktober a couple of years ago. No, I didn't take those photos. My gosh, I would have to be so rich to afford all those trips, but they're basically just stuff that I printed that I find inspiring, so I can, you know, just, it's either to inspire me or say I'm drawing something and it's something with rocks and I'm like, okay, let me just check a couple of pictures of rocks before I draw them so I have a fresher image in mind. Trying to flip through these and see if something sparks an image in my mind. Nope, that's not what. How did I... This is the one. I use them for reference. Some of them I studied quite literally, like I'm pretty sure one of them is easy to recognize. Like this one, pretty much use these as actual reference as is. But I printed them to use like in bits and pieces too. Like say I'm like, oh, I have a skyline in the distance in one of the drawings, well I can reference this one to just check how the trees are drawn. Well, or trees are, and I can draw them better. But yeah, it's I don't have an iPad and I'm a bit old school, and I kind of like the convenience of having all these printed so I can have them next to me when I'm doing something. I don't get why dandelions get so much hate. I don't know. I don't hate them. I just don't like that it's just that. It feels really invasive. Like the lawns are covered in them. But that's all there is. There is not like a couple of daisies in there or no other kind of wild flowers. It's always just huge load of dandelions, and I'm like, ugh. Did you guys do the trick where you grab a dandelion by the stem and you flip it in someone's face with your thumb? I think that's still funny. They smell good. Dandelions, they smell really good, I think. Okay, so I'm gonna use this one. I kind of like this waterfall thingy in the rocks, and I think I'm gonna draw like adventure cat perhaps on one of those rocks or something. I once left a dandelion in the mailbox and the mailman took it. Oh, that's adorable. Wait, I know my grandma, she really likes dandelion leaves for salad. So when it's spring, she knows that my mom's house and my dad's house, they don't use anything on the grass. They don't use like treatments, pesticides or whatnot. So when it's early spring and it starts growing, she will she will go to my dad's and my mom's and just have fun picking up all the dandelions that are young and not too hardy in the yards, and she's really happy to have her fresh dandelion salad. I think that's really cute. A big salad harvest, yeah. There's a really fun thing that I noticed last time I went to see my parents. My parents have separated quite some time ago, easily like 20 years ago. So my mom has a house, my dad has a house, and they're not exactly near, they're close, but like you need a car. You cannot like travel easily from one to the other if you don't have a car. And my dad kept the house we had when it was all of us. And my mom was really into gardening. So she had planted a bunch of stuff, but eventually my dad is not into gardening, so he just let it grow, let it do its thing, and don't really care about it unless it's sick and you gotta cut it down. But when I went last summer, I checked up quickly around the yard and I noticed something really funny. There was still carrots growing from like 20 years ago. In the tiny spot we had planted a few carrots. And I was like, how is this possible? Is it the same carrots that are like regrowing every freaking year? These are gonna be some of the oldest carrots I've ever seen. And it just made me laugh so much. The other thing that is there and that is just unstoppable is I think it's lemon balm. It's called citronelle, but it's the type of citronella that not lemongrass that you put in recipe. It's the one that looks like mint, and when you rub it with your finger, it smells like lemon. And the mosquitoes really hate that stuff. Oh, Heather, that's funny. Carrots are a biennial, so they grow twice a year. Is that it? Yeah, the natural mosquito repellent. They just that stuff just grows infinitely. The first year they grow a root. The second year they use the energy from the carrot itself to grow a flower that we know as Queen Anne's lace. The flowers are really prolific at setting seed. If you don't pick your carrots, they will spread. Well, that means that my dad possibly has carrots in many places on his lawn because he definitely doesn't care. Mint spreads a lot. I wish I had kind of a better space to grow herbs, because that I would use. Like fresh mint for tea is pretty awesome and all of that, but I don't really have allocated outside space. I grab what I can because my landlord is a nice person, but yeah, I don't have any balcony or anything really. I have friends that are really into plants and gardening. I think in fact most of my friends really are. And I'm like, not. I can't really because I don't really have any space for it, but I do what I can. I have a bird feeder. No, I'm doing an adventure cat piece because I can't really, like, nothing. My brain's a bit weird lately, so. I would love to be able to grow stuff indoors, but it's really tricky because I don't get any sunlight. I haven't heard of that many plants that are cat safe and will grow with very little light. Sorrel, yeah, it's a thing. I'm trying to remember what the name is in French. Hold on. Mint. Yeah, well, mint is the same like family as catnip. So I can see why some cats would really appreciate. Oh my gosh. Can I show it, Heather? Can I show the huge pile of floof that picture that you sent me? That's floofy. That's major floof. Hold on, let me check what sorrel is in French. That's kind of weird because it's suggesting I spell it Sorel with only one R because there's a city in Quebec that is named Sorel. Incidentally, where I'm from, technically, but yeah, I don't mean. Oh yeah, that's what I thought. It's Oseille. I need to check what it's like. Looks a bit like spinach, doesn't it? Hold on, let me prepare the floof picture. Come on. That's good. That's good floof. I used to have a small strawberry garden in my garden when I was little before my oh no. If it's not the dogs, it's the squirrels or we get skunks. And I'm pretty sure skunks will eat whatever they can find. I don't think they're really picky about that stuff. Oh, what? Yes, I am. I want to hear that live stream. Something like field salt. Hey, huh? Can't have spinach anymore. Aw. Just one leg, yeah. Havoc is like insanely floofy. I apologize for all the crinkly noises of my my paper. Put it there because otherwise it really has a strong glare with the lights, because I have vinyl sheets on my table to protect it, and it's really, really glare-y. It's also crinkly and noisy, and I know that it annoys some people because they've mentioned it to me in the comments. What is the story behind the name of your shop? Push? It's just a type of tree. I think it's spruce in English. It says hemlock, but is it really hemlock? Come on, stop being weird. What the hell is this website? Hemlock spruce, it says. And I was just looking at I think the Latin name is Tsuga canadensis. Seems to be like really, we have a Canadian push, and it's this sort of evergreen type of tree, and I really like evergreens, and it's kind of a Canadian tree, so I was like, huh, let's call the shop Push. I was like, I really hope it's not offensive in any language, but it felt really like innocuous. And I didn't want to have to search forever for a name either. Pico de quatre croissants. Yeah, pretty much. Just a good donut. Yeah, that's like hemlock is more known for the toxic element. I don't remember if like hemlock spruce has toxic elements. It might have, but it's also a really pretty tree, and I didn't choose it because of the toxic. I am not that edgy. I really chose it just because I was like, it's a nice tree that is sort of Canadian and not too obvious like maple could be. I love maple, but I mean, Though my favorite maple is Japanese maple, and that's Japanese, that's not really Canadian. The hemlock tree is not the same as the hemlock poison plant. Oh. Oh, that's so cool that you were able to return the dog to its owner at Tsukabu. Drawing on cold pressed paper is pretty good at using up leads really fast. But I tried working on hot press lately and I really don't like it. Like, nope, this is not really working for me. What game are you playing? Inki's Joy. Havoc was in a tiny grass triangle with a 6. Oh, yeah. The way Heather found Havoc is both an awesome and a terrifying story. Like, I can't imagine being a tiny kitten in this situation and not being scared out of its brain. Traffic is not cat friendly, ever. Bioshock Burial. I know words. Of course I do. It puts forth the question of how did Havoc even end up there? Quote of the day, I know words. Alright, let me show you guys something pretty cool. This really simple thing is me making a mess, but I think it's called the Dinky Dips. I think Dinky Dips is the word, but it's really simple. It's a small wood base with holes in it, and you get tiny containers that have either pop-on lids or screw-on lids. I got the screw-on lids one. And what is awesome of this is that you can put ink in there, and you can use a dip pen with it, and you don't have to dip your pen into the whole bottle, which has a high risk of contaminating the bottle or messing up the ink. And there's always a bubble on top. The bubbles are like the messiest thing in the world. Just put that in there. So I got that because I've been using more ink and brushes for inking, but I always end up wasting a lot of ink when I put it in a small ceramic dish, because if I don't use it all, it dries there, and so that's kind of annoying. And when I can make a mix and use it more than once, you know, and you can buy these little pots as refills, so you can have many little pots with different inks in them, and you can rotate the pots you have on the square. But it's really stable. It won't, you know, fall down, and you can more easily dip pens in it. And it's really inexpensive. And I saw another artist use that, and I was like, where is this? I've been looking for this for a while, like this kind of setup, because it's kind of annoying to have dip pens. You really need some depth to be able to dip the pen in it, but there's not a lot of options unless you dip it in the whole bottle, and I hate having whole bottles opened on my desk. No, that's not 10 milliliters, that's like 4. That's really, really small. That's like a teaspoon. Is it? I don't think it's 2 teaspoons, it's maybe 7. I don't know. I'm just spewing out numbers. The crackling noise is the scratching. Well, there's the paper, this super annoying paper, but that noise, that's the nib scratching on the paper. Ooh, tiny ketchup glass jar. That sounds really neat. So yeah, I've used it to ink a drawing already, but the drawing turned out to be really awful. I couldn't paint it well to save my butt, so it's over there. I can try and grab it. Awesome. Watch that make a mess. I'm pretty sure it's gonna like create a huge puddle of whatever. Okay. So I inked that with this, and it worked really well, but I used hot press paper, and that was not a good idea. And it didn't really work out like I wanted, and I couldn't make it work, and I got fed up with it. I was like, well, you know, can't win them all. Well, that's a dud. Alright, let's see if I can ink this one up. Yeah, it was a good practice piece. I learned a bunch of stuff, but I learned a bunch of stuff that doesn't work. Oh no. It's really sad, Heather, that people don't bother getting their pets spayed and neutered. It can be really problematic in the end. So yeah, it's a lot more scratchy than the brush pen is, but you can also get some really fine lines with it. And I mean, I have those, so I thought I would use the pens and see if anything can happen with it. I want to neuter my dog, but my parents won't let me because that's evil. How is it evil? That's fairly common sense. I agree with Lana, but I mean, it's always weird when people expect people who can't have a procedure to have it anyway. Might be referring to vaccines in this case, but how is it evil to get the dog neutered? Spayed? No, neutered. Yeah, sorry. Neutering prevents testicular cancer at the very least. But that's yeah. Or perhaps it's the same kind of situation as we have with the nuticles. Nuticles! But yeah, I mean, people are all up in arms sometimes about vaccines, saying like, well, my kid has this situation, that means he can't get vaccines. And I'm like, yeah, but that's why you want other people to get vaccines. Like, if a pet can't be spayed or neutered, well, you want the other pets to be spayed and neutered, so it will help make sure yours doesn't end up with pregnant with pups or kittens. I would never have the nerve to berate someone whose pets cannot have that procedure done for whatever reason, health reason. Like if the pet cannot be neutered or spayed, well, it shouldn't be, of course, but if it can, then it should be. Dante is happy without nuticles. I think it has something to do with my parents' religious beliefs. Oh, yeah, well, that's something else. I mean, okay, fine. Your parents are like, well, we don't want to have the dog neutered. But if he, well, it's a male dog, so I guess it's kind of different. But like, if they say that they would be ready to work with it if the dog had puppies, then I'm like, fine, okay, cool. But it's like people who don't do the procedure, and then when the animal inevitably has babies, they won't take care of them. So, well, you can't have it both ways. Either the animal has babies and you take care of them, or you get it spayed or neutered. It goes out of what's the word I'm looking for? can't find it. But it goes awry really quick with cats because mom cats can have at best 3 litters per year. 2 is possibly more common, but 3 can happen. And every litter can have between 1 and like 8 babies. So that adds up really fast. And in certain cases, they will interbreed. Like it's definitely not a good idea, but the cats, they don't know any better. If the cats are in heat and there are males around and no one else, they might not know that it's a terrible idea. You know what I mean? It's the instinct that takes over. And you don't really have any options. Oh, I hope Dante enjoys his short walk and that it helps him feel better. Oh, that's cute, Sukabu. See, I'm fine with that. That's still responsible because you let her have babies and you took care of the babies. I mean, it really, really annoys me when people don't take care of the consequences of their actions, because you cannot have it both ways. It applies with everything in life. You cannot eat cake for every meal and expect to stay thin. Or if you manage to do that, then you have a really good metabolism, and I'm super envious of it. But you know what I mean? It's like, you would decide that you don't want to have the pet spayed or neutered. Well, fine, but you gotta be okay with covering expenses. The same if you decide to get a pet, you gotta be somewhere ready to cover vet bills, because that will eventually happen. And it happens anyway for like spade, neutering, and vaccines. Basic stuff, you know, that every pet has to get for optimal health. Oh, does Dante has a little coat and booties? They found really good slaves for life. Bootsy's kittens. Yeah, and they are torchy spawns, so they're definitely looking for good slaves. I don't understand why anyone would not want to take care of kittens. I'm with you. Really young neonatal kittens can be really difficult to care for if you end up having a lot. Like if you only have 2 or 3, usually the mom has enough milk to feed them well. But if the mom has more than that, there might be issues with them gaining enough weight because they have to share with the other siblings. And sometimes there are issues and you can just not care about it. A lot of people will just let mom cat do the job and deal with whatever happens. But if you want to care for them a bit more, then you gotta weigh them, you gotta make sure they eat fine, you gotta make sure they're healthy, they don't have any problems. Like, I'm fine with it, but I can see why some people will be like, well, but I don't have time for that. I have kids, I have a job, I don't know, obligations. Yeah, that's different to Amisha. Amisha says, when I moved to a farm, I didn't neuter my female because I needed cats. We were being invaded by mice and rats. If you need cats to be mousers, that's something else too. But I mean, I'm pretty sure at some point you need to control the cat population. So you need to have some of them spayed and neutered, if only so they don't reproduce with their siblings. And then you end up with cats with cerebral palsy and all sorts of problems. Scratchy, scratchy, scratch. It's really scratchy. But it's also really fine. Oh, no, I mean, never. Find someone else or take to a shelter, right? Don't tie them up in a bag and leave them uncontrolled. Oh my god, that should never, ever be an option for any animal whatsoever. I mean, I understand being really out of the depth of the situation, but I cannot do with this sort of mindset to just, yeah, I can't see the problem, so it's gone. It's like, no, F you. You don't get to do that. We gave away the females and neuter mama after the second litter. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, the first litter is how I got my part bobcat, and he was the only kitten. Oh my gosh, that's so special. Like, I'm not... Common sense. I think common sense is the key here. Like, if you live in the city, you have no real need for a lot of cats, and you get a cat, and you let them go outside, it's probably best to spay and or neuter them, depending on what you get. If you have a need for more cats, like say you move to the country, you have a farm, you have a need of mousing cat, that's different, that's fine. But I mean, you still did it responsibly. You had a couple of kittens and a couple of litters, and then that's it. I mean, I was watching the Kitten Rescuer show on Netflix, and there are situations that go really out of hand, like this lady in the UK, in the city. She had like 47 cats in her house. And it was a case of she didn't get them spayed, she didn't get them neutered, and they bred out of control. And she couldn't take care of them. So Animal Services had to go in there, grab the cats. And it was the second time that this lady went through this procedure in like 3 years. That's true. Heather says, if you really want a litter of kittens, I suggest talking to a rescue. They get pregnant queens who need a lengthy foster. That's true. That's what Kitten Academy does. They get pregnant mom cats, and they take care of them through delivery and raising the kittens. And when everybody is old enough, they get spayed, neutered, and adopted out. Even the moms. After the moms are done feeding the kittens, they get also spayed and adopted out. That's pretty cool. Also, the kittens are so cute. Kittens are cute. There's no there's no way around that. Oh, that's okay, Ian. I hope you feel better soon. That sounds really bad. Oh, it's a kaboom, that's cute. Out of control breeding is how many orders get out of control. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's the moment you cannot control the horde, that's when it sort of, like, it passes into this mental territory of not being able to do the right thing. scritchy, scritchy. Oh no, Heather! Heather says, and considering my vet knows my caller ID, I think I get mine vetted often enough. I hope this discussion is not too preachy. The goal is really not to be preachy, so I'm sorry if it comes across as such. I can be really passionate about cats because I really like cats and they're sort of my brand. And it really it's really important for me that people take good care of the cats, and it doesn't have to be anything special. I don't think there's one good answer, but I think everyone should focus on making everyone happy, and if that means having cats, not having cats, like as long as you do take care of them, that's fine. And with the answer with hi Heather. Aww. I don't understand how a vet can. Well, it's a bit like doctors, but I don't know. Vets, it's a really epic job to do because you're confronted to all kinds of situations, and there are definitely not all of them easy. So, whew, like I would, like Heather, you say that when you call, they go like, "Hey, Heather." I wonder if they're always like, oh no, oh my gosh, I hope everything's okay with her pets. You know, like when someone calls, if they know you, that they're like worried about the pets. Like, uh-oh, oh no, what's wrong? Sukabu says, that's like me in the local art supply store. I think that's like me and the sushi place. We try to get some takeout once a week. I think the guy that answers the phone recognizes me by now. Hey, I should have a paint sale quite soon. Scoop, scoop. I'm finished with packing and drying pans. I just need to take pictures of them, which is definitely not my favorite part of this process. I just hate it. So much time goes into taking pictures and setting up the listings, and like they usually disappear or get bought really fast, and you're like, well, I just spent like an hour setting this up and I don't need it anymore, and yay. But yeah, I have a bunch of pens. I have a couple of colors that I might not have in the future because they were really annoying to do. And I'm trying to focus on paints that are actually fun to mold and not a huge pain in the ass. And I'll have a couple of full pans, and when I mean a couple, I mean 2 of salmon. And yeah. Yeah, I understand, Heather. Like, it's not something that I feel too often, but I know Mr. He has remarked more than once when looking at the kittens, well, at Pecco and Scout, and he would look at them and he would say, like, it's still kind of a bummer that we will never see them be moms, because it's something really unique to see a pet be, well, especially a female pet, be a mom. But at the same time, they don't really need this experience. But you know, like, what would the babies be like? What color would they be? More like their mom? How would, you know? There's a curiosity there that makes you wonder, like, what it could have been. But at the same time, I would also like to bring your attention to Pecco, who is completely sound asleep by now. She's really cute. But she has, the donut is less tight than before, so I think she's really asleep. Cute kitty. Yeah, I like you're. I'm curious too what Havoc's baby would have been like. But at the same time, it's much easier to manage to get them spayed and neutered. Like a female in heat is not not super great to experience when you have indoor kitties, and like you said, male kitties will have really stinky pee, and they will possibly be more prone to peeing in various corners of the house to mark their territory, which is not something that neutered males have as much. What? Spending tens to hundreds of thousands to get your pet cloned? What? Ugh, yuck. I did take down my store on Etsy. Etsy was turning out to be a really weird platform in my taste, in my opinion. They did a couple of really shady stuff in the past couple of months, and I'm like, meh. So I made a page on my own website, which is evebolt.com, and there's a page over there. You can find the link in the top right of the page that says handmade paints. And there is nothing there for now because I haven't made the listings. But that's where they will be once I get around to making all the listings and taking the pictures and all of that. I understand that Etsy was possibly more convenient, but they were sort of drifting away from being a platform for their users and more like a platform for their investors to earn some money. So I have a hard time. I struggle with that. Patreon is giving me sort of problems too in that regard. They're not super great right now. Scratchy. Yeah, I haven't been selling anything on Etsy. I just closed it down. They did this thing, I don't know if you guys saw, but they sort of charge many users on Etsy, many store owners, not any users, but store owners on Etsy for monthly fees, because if you sell on Etsy, you have to pay fees for like listing, and you have to pay fees like every sale you make, they take away a percentage of it. And on Etsy, what happened is that they ended up charging really big amounts. Some people, it was even in the few thousands of dollars. And they sort of charged that to their accounts on their credit cards for no reasons. That was like a bug, they said. But it was prior to a 3-day weekend. And instead of refunding people on their credit cards, they refunded them on in like... Anyway, it's weird. I don't have it in mind right now, but there was a really lengthy article about it, and it was really shady. And it bothers me because I'm like, well, if you... Who is this platform for? If it's for you to line up your pockets, I'm not interested. I don't... Sorry, but I don't care about you lining up your pockets. I mean, if it comes along with me using up the platform, fine, but if you focus on lining up your pockets at the expense of the service, then yeah, you can go get lost in the wood, like I say. What's up with Patreon? It's just that Patreon, okay, I think what the situation is with Patreon is that they went to venture capitalists to get funding for the platform at some point. And because of that, they sort of have to always make the platform earn more money. So it's a good investment. But this idea of earning more money all the time doesn't go well with the nature of the platform, which is people who offer kind of a subscription, you know. Patreon is basically you subscribe to someone's content and you pay a monthly fee or a per production fee, and it helps them make things happen. But because of that, it's not really, it doesn't scale that much or as much as Patreon would want. So they've been trying all sorts of things to earn more money. One of them was like more fees. They have a thingy that's like a monthly, I think you can pay a monthly fee as a person on Patreon that has a Patreon, and it gives you some... Anyway, there's all sorts of... They always try to keep coming up with new fees and or new ways to charge fees for something, and it's not received well most of the time. There was a really big uproar last time they tried something like that, because it would have made it so that per transaction you would have been charged like say it's 3% and 10 cents. So on Patreon, if you decide to give someone $1 per month, they end up getting not a lot of that, because 3% is 3 cents, but there's also the 10 cents fee, so they only get like a smaller chunk of money. And there's always all kinds of stuff like that where they try to find ways to charge differently that ends up always being at the expense of, you know, the person, the user of the service. And it created a huge mess, and a lot of people were really offended, with reason. I mean, it's really crummy thing to do. And they try, and there's a new thing recently that they said they were gonna make it so that if you create a new account on Patreon after a certain date, you have to pay a fee for it. Anyway, it's a freaking headache. Service is vanishing. Service is a vanishing art these days. It is. It's all about earning money and having more money and making more money, and it's exhausting. It's really exhausting. And it's always like that. Like at the moment, I quite like Ko-fi, but I know that it's because Ko-fi is still small. Like I won't be surprised in a couple of years if it turns out like all the other ones, and they do some scummy things, and you're like, what? And you have to move on to the next thing, and I don't know what the next thing will be, but it's always like that. finally set up a service, finally grow some kind of follower base or something, and then the service sorts of really lessens its services, and you end up in a situation where you're like, well, do I close this down and I'm gonna have to start over somewhere else that is a bit more helpful to me, but then in a couple of years I'm gonna have to do that all over again. Not fun. Not fun. It's really sad to see Etsy and Patreon go downhill, I agree. Sounds like having your own page is just better these days. Yes and no, because say if you take a place like Etsy, people will go to Etsy as a hub to search for things. Say they want to offer a necklace to someone, they will go to Etsy and they will type in like necklace, and they will see all sorts of necklace, and people can find your products that way. If you have your own website, people would have to Google necklace into Google, and then you get all sorts of, it's less streamlined, it's more of a mess. If you already have a following and you have your own website, that's fine, because people know where to find your stuff. But sorry, even having my own website, there are fees everywhere. The hosting has fees, the platform like Squarespace has fees. If you have a store, they charge fees on every sale as well. Like there's always fees everywhere. There's not an easy solution in one place, and all this stuff is relatively pricey. So I bought hosting for a website for a year, but I'm not even sure I will renew it once the year is done, because it was basically me throwing money out the window. Like I don't earn back anything from that website. It's there, I can direct people to it for a portfolio if need be, but I haven't found a way to earn anything from it yet. So it's like, well, if I keep like spending money into stuff that doesn't earn me anything, maybe I shouldn't be doing that, because I don't have a money tree like like Steve does. It's a freaking nightmare. Oh no, Tsukabu, that sounds awful. Yeah, your mom had the right idea. Well, if you have the domain and you don't have anything on it, that might not be that expensive. But like if you purchase a service like Squarespace, which is sort of really neat. I'm just waiting for this to dry, so that's why I'm not doing much right now. But it's really neat, because if you are not super savvy with making websites, well, they take care of it. They have templates, you can more easily like create pages and all of that, but you have to pay for this. This is a service. So yeah, there's not like an easy way around this stuff. You're gonna have to pay fees or pay for a service somewhere. And it's just exhausting. Like I'm not against the idea, because basically at least you pay for a service, you pay for something, but it's exhausting. It's exhausting to have to deal with all of that all the time, and they change stuff, and they're not completely honest with you all the time. You have to read online to see people who are more savvy about economical stuff, economy, and they say like, oh no, what this means is that basically you get less money, they get more because they change this and it has this effect, and you're like, ugh. I asked Steve, I said to Steve that I need one of his trees. Well, if someone would steal my domain, I would just tell them to F off. Yeah, fine, keep it. Screw you. I cannot buy it back. It's yeah, Steve Mitchell. Steve, he made his April's Fool prank about a money tree. And it was really cute and funny. Hey, Ellen, hi! And welcome back, Apollo. Ellen says, been lurking and listening. I work part-time for an artist who does pretty well selling online, but she has had to keep at it for over a decade now. You can tell it's been 2 hours of live stream because my words start being all weird. She ended up hiring her sister-in-law, myself, and another gal to keep up with the demand. That's pretty cool. That's the ideal. Like that's the goal. And I've seen a couple of people who, one of them is a young woman on YouTube. Her name is Catnip. Is that it? Katnip. But yeah, she has like 2 businesses. One is more her illustration stuff, and the other one is like new parent stuff, like mugs that will say "new dad" or that kind of stuff, which is clever because there's always going to be a demand for this stuff. But see, she has these 2 businesses, and you can see that she's been doing well with it, and she can rent studio space. But there's always a couple of things to consider. Like I'm in Montreal, which is not a cheap city to live in. I see other people, like sometimes even someone like Lindsay, the frugal crafter. I think she does really well, but she has also the advantage of living in a smaller town that perhaps has less expenses. And I mean, there are other things that that you have to take in consideration. Like over here, there's a lot of similar people that do what I do, so it's kind of more difficult to find stuff. Like I could never get my drawings anywhere in any painting or cafe. You either have to know someone or be really, really good. It's just a lot of things, and it's just really complex, and I'm like, I don't know how to deal with all this stuff. Okay, hold on, let me catch up on chat. Patricia says my website was badly hacked. My password, email accounts, and now I have to pay $90 a month to keep it secure, and I can't get into my... Oh no, that sounds really awful. I am so sorry. Why would people do that? Oh my god, that makes me so angry. It's like, don't you have anything else to do than go bother someone's... I guess yours is photography and painting, perhaps? Like that's not... Oh my gosh. I really hope there's a special hell for these people. It is, but it's so much work. She's currently trying to get 30 paintings done before June. Oh wow. Holy crap. You remind me of someone named Anita Gadzinska. Oh yeah, I know Anita. She's really nice. She's really nice. She draws really well. But she's learned to be business savvy. She has wholesale sale for cards, book deals. But still, oh wow. That's pretty epic. I would love to be able to do that, but you need good equipment and space, which is 2 things that are not necessarily there right now. I'm curious, if you work as an artist, do you pay taxes, and if so, how much? I think it depends on the country you live in and also how much you earn. Like if you don't earn a certain minimum, you are not eligible to taxes, perhaps. I basically earn nothing. So taxes are really easy to do. My boss's tax bill just came in. Ugh. Ouch. Artists are tax-free in Ireland. Oh, that's the right idea. Well, I mean, perhaps unless you earn a certain amount, but I mean, it's not like artists are rich. It is my painting site, and they threatened to put porn on my website, so I have to protect it until it expires. And that's really not cool. Oh, I really hope karma bites them back in the butt real hard. Tsukabu says, I can't remember who did it, but there was a comic artist who had watermarks on his works. Someone complained that it was annoying and in the way of his work, so he put the watermark all over in revenge. Good. She ended up buying a second house to serve as a studio. Oh, wow. I'm guessing she doesn't live in like a really expensive city. I can't, like, I don't think that happens here in Montreal unless you're really earning a lot. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I heard Toronto is really expensive. Yeah, it's kind of a similar situation here where I don't make money, really. Like, it's complex, but just to sum it up, basically I'm at the charge of Mr. E, so I'm on his taxes, basically. Just behind Vancouver. Oh, gross. I think Montreal is probably not that far behind that, because it's really expensive, especially if you want to buy a house. That's just insane. The ink I've been using for this is pretty cool. You know, you guys remember that the ink, the Holbein ink that I like to use, is discontinued and is gonna go out of production. But thanks to Otto, I've found a new ink that works really well. It's this one. It's also by Holbein. It's the acrylic ink in super opaque black. And I wasn't really sure about this before because I've tried, you know, various acrylic inks, and I'm like, well, you know, oftentimes they have a sheen, and I'm not super fond of sheeny line work because it's harder to. Oh, has it? Has it, or is it perhaps just the bit rate that has gone lower and destroyed the image quality? Hold on. Hello. Hello. It's a good kitty. Yeah, income splitting is the best. But yeah, all that to say that I love this ink because it's really opaque and matte. And it comes in a really big bottle that is gonna last me a really long time. That's like 100 mils of ink. Like, inking a drawing like this takes perhaps 1 mil if I'm lucky. Oh yeah, I saw that, Lee. That's pretty cool that you're gonna be traveling to a conference in Australia. It's gonna be pretty rough with the time zones and everything, but I think it's gonna be a really nice trip. And you can probably take a lot of pictures there to inspire more paintings. That is one thing they should teach in art school, basic finance. I agree so much. I'm so bothered that they, even regular school, like basic finance, taxes, how to be an adult. You know, like, depending on where you live. I'm Canadian. I've lived here forever, literally. But yeah, it's like we have the health insurance here, and nobody tells you how to go from being a minor, like under your parents' charge, and having insurance, like they take care of it, through being an adult, like what you have to do when you start working and you're an adult and you have to contribute yourself to the system. And then when you call about it because you don't understand and you tell them like, well, I don't know how this works, they get mad at you and you're like, what? I mean, where's the stuff that I can, where's the documentation that I can consult to learn this stuff? How do you expect me to know this if no one tells me? Holy crap, that made me so angry. Yeah, study to become an accountant. Oh, it is a good idea, but good grief. I am not good with that kind of stuff. I wish it was simpler. I think the best decision we've taken in the last couple of years is to get our tax done by an accountant. Oh my gosh, you sound so much more savvy about this stuff. I have no idea how to set anything. I probably did all the mistakes I could do and there's probably everything wrong with it. And I have no idea and I can't fix it because I don't know and I'm just like... Oh yeah, I don't mean that it's not the same everywhere. I just mean that I can't... Like, for me, it was the insurance thing that really broke my brain, but like I figured that for someone who lives in the US where they don't have universal insurance, it's probably a bit different. I think everyone could benefit from a class about how to be an adult when you cross from, you know, having your stuff paid by your parents to paying for it yourself. Well, that's good. Bigger tax returns, that's kind of nice, no? I am lucky that I have a patron who finances my art supplies. Oh. Well, it could be for both, you know? Both for love of art and for mental health. One of my closest friends has made doing taxes or cottage industry. She usually gets me a decent refund and she... Yeah, that's cool. That's really, really cool. What's a cottage industry, though? I think that's it. Lana says, maybe no one really knows how to be an adult and everyone's just winging it, doing their best to at least seem adult. I think that's the thing. I think I got really like bothered by the lady that I spoke to because she really acted like I should have known this stuff and I was so mad at her for... I was like, well, if it was like a stranger in the street that is like, well, you should know this stuff, I would be like, okay, fine. But she was like customer service for the taxes, the insurance at the government agency for that. And I was really expecting her to perhaps be a bit more nice to people who are like 22 and have not a freaking clue how this is supposed to work. You know, just that. Oh, just a sideline gig for money. Oh, wow. That's a good sideline gig. Huh. Oh no! That sounds awful, Patricia. What? For taxes at the very least, just add up all your expenses for materials you buy and web hosting and stuff. Yeah, I should really be better about that. I should have I should set up a notebook that I can at least write this stuff as I go, because otherwise it's impossible to track back all these expenses. Every time there's a new year that starts, I'm like, I should really do better this year, but I always forget. I'm gonna try to paint this. Hot press paper, cold press paper. I love you so much. I missed you, my dear. Cold press paper. Yeah, I miss a lot of stuff, but I get the big expenses and the stores I buy from it. Also, if you work out at home, I know I can, but it's kind of weird because you have to be able to have a room just for that, and I'm not exactly in this situation. Hey, Nancy, hi. Art supplies and yeah, I should do that, but a lot of the receipts are online. I don't think to print them and put them with the rest, you know. It's percentage of home. The room thing is just an approximation. Huh. I didn't know that. Even online, always print receipt. I mean, ideally that's really what I should do. This is something I can ask you guys, I guess, because I figured that a lot of you possibly are in a similar situation than I am, which is that maybe you are taking medication for anxiety, or I guess perhaps depression as well for this one, I don't know. But I have this weird impression that before I started on anxiety meds, it was much easier to keep track of things. Like, I didn't have to, I didn't forget as many things. Like, sometimes I really forget stupid stuff, and I'm like, well, how could I forget this? This is like super basic stuff, and I forgot it again, you know. And I don't know why I forgot. I've been thinking about it, like I did it every day for a week, and then suddenly I just forget completely I used to do that. And not in a way that like, I think about it but decide not to do, and so I say I forget. it's gone out of my brain for good. And it's not something I'm used to, so I'm trying to figure out if it's just being old, or or if it's perhaps something that came with the meds. Just to perhaps make some sense out of it. Pickle cleaning time. Just keep that shoebox by your computer. I have many things by my computer, Nancy. Yeah, I really should do it anyway. I'm not saying that in a way that like I can't do it. I'm just saying that it's a really good idea. I need definitely to be better organized about this stuff. I'm not super good at implementing organization in what I do. Most of my energy goes to just making sure I make videos and do the stuff I'm sort of sponsored to do in a timely fashion. For everything else, that's what I struggle with at the moment. Maybe use a dedicated card PayPal account for this. That's a good idea. That's a common side effect of anti-anxiety. Oh, thank you. That's what I was under the impression of, but that's so weird and unusual. Like it wasn't like that before, and it's kind of weird to think that it's like that now. I tried bullet journaling and it worked for a while, but then I forgot. Literally, like I forgot. The journal was perhaps under a sheet of paper, and I stopped seeing it, and it was immediately gone from my brain, gone for good. And then I find it, and it's like 2 weeks later, and I'm like, huh, that's right, I was doing this thing. Crud. There's a couple of things I'm trying to adjust still with the meds, because the meds are really there to stay. I cannot contemplate life without them, because I kind of like to function. But there's a couple of things that have changed, and I'm still trying to tell myself that it's okay, it's just because of the meds, and it doesn't mean anything towards my value as a human being. Like I'm a lot more sleepy now. I never was as sleepy before. But now I can take naps. I mean, I've never taken a nap in my life before. So it's weird. It's really weird, because you're like, well, are these changes like me being lazy, or is it something else? I think it could be the meds. Or maybe just aging. Or both. That's Mikey. Are you able to just, like, just say no to stress? Like go like nope, and how do you how do you control your stress level? Because you say that you can't really let yourself be stressed, but how do you manage that? Eep. Possible, possible. But it's really like I'm out of sight, out of mind, and I'm in a really bad setup for that, in the sense that I have a lot of stuff, and it happens often that something will get under something else, and I forget about it. So it's just weird. Oh, you guys make me feel better. Yay. Like, I understand therapy and talking about it, but I don't think I'm ready to see. I tried. I had one meeting with a therapist, and it was such a poor match that I really didn't feel good with it, and I'm sort of really hesitant to start, looking for one, because it's complicated. It's a lot of work, and you gotta find someone that works for you, and it's expensive. Oh my gosh, is it expensive? I know some is covered by my insurances, but still not all of it. And like I know myself to some extent, and I have this feeling that my personality is not necessarily the best to work with therapy. It's weird. Like, not necessarily that talking is a bad idea. It's just that it's the whole therapist aspect of it. Anyway, I don't want to get into too many details, but let's just say that it's kind of weird. Maybe I'm just not ready for that. The meds have helped a lot, though, because I went from being incapable of doing anything to actually being able to do things, which is a great big improvement. It was weird because I wasn't aware I was having anxiety. I was just thinking that, like, oh well, that's you. You need to work harder. You need to do this more, to try harder, to, like, this is my fault. I need to be my own answer to this problem. But turns out it was just brain chemistry. That's troubling, Amisha. Amisha says there is a growing number of mental health pros that think that there are so many people suffering from stress and depression that it's not because they're mentally ill, it's a rational response to their circumstances. So basically, circumstances suck. Oh, bye, Inking is Joy. Thank you so much for being here. I think you're right, Mikey. Mikey says, I honestly don't feel we are hardwired as human beings to deal with the level of choice and option we have presented to us these days. There is, like, what's it called? Decision fatigue. We are solicited. We have to make choices for so many things and so many, like, irrelevant things in a day that it's like, it's weird. It's like we have spoons for decisions. And we spend all our spoons on stuff like, which flavor of Pop-Tarts do I want to buy? And then when we have to make a decision like, should I buy this stuff or not, even if I don't have the money for it, we are all out of spoons. And we just do whatever. Oh, Lee, it's not a fun merry-go-round. I will say that. Finding a good therapist is stressful in itself. Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh, it is. There's the stress of, like, the expense and, like, is this person gonna work, or if they're not gonna work. Like, it kind of messes up with your brain to open to someone and it's not a good match, and you're like, well, I've shared all this stuff with someone and I kind of feel like I want to take it back and hide it. Yeah, cat therapy is really good. A good face full of fluff. Cat fluff, that's a good one. I don't know about the provincial government, but we have, like, there is some coverage on the instrument. We have to, the way it works for Quebec is that you are covered by the province insurance if you have nothing else. If your job offers an insurance plan, you have to take it. So we are on Mr. E's job insurance plan, and they do cover, like, some of it, but definitely not enough, because therapists expect you to go there every freaking week. And I'm like, how do you expect me to budget like $400 a month to speak with you? Anyway. Anxiety is really great at telling you it doesn't exist and you're wrong for being anxious. That's really the feeling. Oh my gosh, that's the feeling. I've learned lately that high histamine causes and contributes to anxiety. Histamine, isn't that the allergenic compound in like pollen? Yeah, considering the cold climate and your low sunshine. Well, I have a really low sunshine tolerance anyway. I'm a redhead, so I have to choose between synthesizing vitamin D or having skin cancer, basically. Oh, decision making is the freaking worst. I enjoy having choices at the grocery store, but it's also the worst. And I always end up like, if they have, hey, this thing comes in 2 flavors that I like, I'm gonna buy both. I'm not gonna put myself to choosing one of them. Just grab both and let's be gone with this. It's just bad. Oh no. Ollie. Talk about spoon usage just for thinking, yeah. Oh my gosh, Patricia, that's really bad. Anxiety is the worst. That bugger. Oh, okay, cool. People with allergies and food sensitivities have high histamine production. Caffeine, coffee. I don't drink a lot of coffee. I'm trying to think. I think sugar is really bad for my anxiety. But yeah, the decision fatigue is real and it's really not helpful with anything. And it's everywhere. It's stuff like you want to eat healthier and you're like, well, what should I eat? And you think that you eat something that is healthy, and then you see an article in the newspaper that says that whatever you ate causes cancer, so now you're anxious about it because you ate it and you bought a box of it because you thought that was okay, but now it's maybe not good for you. And anxiety, best summed up with fart noises. Oh, I'm glad you do, Mikey. Black and green tea are also not good for anxiety. Well, I'm screwed. I drink black tea daily. But I don't really notice a big effect when I take it versus when I don't take it. So I don't know. But it makes me sad. I understand, but coffee smells really, really good. Oh no, Heather, that sounds really bad. Well, I'm glad you like the community, Amisha. I love it a lot too. You guys are really awesome. I love that we can talk about just about anything and it's perfectly fine and no one is like offended or no one takes it personally, and it really helps because, I mean, I think most artists really live inside their heads. So to be able to talk with others like this, it's kind of really helpful. And you're like, oh, okay, so we all feel the same way with this thing. Or anyway, it helps. YouTube therapy. Huh. That's really, I'm glad you found the issue ever, but yeah, no fun to be through it. Same with any issues, like it's really difficult to diagnose health issues. Oh no, Lena, that sounds really bad. Huh, that's good to know. Patricia says it was hard for me to get off tea. Irish here. But I switched to organic coffee. It has a lot of nutrients and it's so much better. Well, I have more issues with coffees than tea, actually. If I drink too much coffee, even decaf, I get really bad, not stomachache, but like digestive tract problems. Pain, mostly. It's mostly all about pain. So I don't have coffee often. But I have tea, and so far, tea holds up. Please, tea, stay. I think the fact that tea is warm really helps with digestion too. Like any warm drink can be herbal tea, it doesn't have to be like caffeine tea. But I really enjoy both. Oh yeah, the chat is going to stay. Is it, would you rather I remove it? I can check off the chat if you prefer. I don't really mind. I don't think many people watch these live streams on VOD. Not that I mind, but I just think that's the reality of it. I like that you're all cool enough to define artists largely instead of narrowly. Someone starts defining artists narrowly, they sort of miss the point, in my opinion. Diane says, I tried to stop drinking tea, but it ended up when my coworker brought me tea, because he thought that I was getting too grumpy. Yeah, that's exactly it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. For now, I can still have tea, so I'm gonna enjoy tea for now, but yeah, I really hope that I don't end up having issues with it. Well, I think if push comes to shove, I might have to switch to decaf tea, which I'm okay with. I like the taste of tea, so it's not necessarily about the caffeine. It helps in the morning, but I mean, if I have to drink decaf tea, I will. Tea is that good. The only thing perhaps that bums me the most is that we can never hang out like all of us around like a pot of coffee or something. Not coffee, tea, water, lemon water, whatever you want, and talk about art. Like we can hang around in the chat, but I'm kind of sad that we can't meet up in real life and exchange all kinds of stuff and trade off sample sheets and you know. Then again, I think most of us are really good at staying in and being hermits. So maybe it would work. Oh really? I didn't know that the decaf tea was not good. Oh, road trip to Montreal. Did I miss that? Oh, I approve of this plan. I don't have a car. I guess if I had a car, I could road trip Well, I can't even drive, so there's that too. But I have one. I don't drink decaf often. I will drink a lot of herbal tea, but I love certain decaf. I hope they're not too bad, but I don't really know. Train from Toronto to Montreal is that's really doable. I think it would be easier if I went to see you guys because I'm like the only one over here, and you're all in Ontario, so it would probably be much easier to have a meetup in like Toronto or something. I like flower tea. I cannot do hibiscus because for me it only tastes bitter. I don't taste anything else but the bitterness. Is Montreal so much more fun? Is it? Really? I think Toronto is pretty great. Yes, it really is all caps. Okay, okay. What do you guys like about Montreal all that much? I think Toronto has the best restaurants. Oh my god, you have so many great Japanese restaurants in Toronto. That's every time I go, I went twice, but when I went to Toronto for a TCAF, I always make a point to hit up my favorite Japanese restaurants. Oh, cool. Lee, I'll remember that. Come up to Toronto, and we'll find a place to hermit together. That should be the slogan for any meetup we ever do. Like, like Toronto 20 something 2019 hermit together. Oh yeah, sure. I will delete it, Heather. No problem. I will hide the chat. I don't think anybody will mind. Oh, bye, Tsukaboo. Have a great evening. The quietest riot ever. Absolutely. I love this idea of a quiet riot. Everybody's drawing furiously in their corners. I'm using Schminke paints. The 24 sets plus 2 colors that I sort of put together over here. Yeah, no, flight to Montreal is kind of expensive. A few bottle of wine. If we even drink wine. I know I don't drink alcohol. I never really took to it. And then with the anxiety meds, it's not recommended to drink alcohol, so I'm like, meh. Meh. Not sure I want to mess that up. I enjoy functioning, like I said. I think, Mikey, I don't think it's in fear of the government knowing, but like having this information available to everyone on internet can be a bit intimidating. Oh, that would be so cool, Heather. Yes. Oh yeah, I don't think alcohol is worth it. I never really thought it was worth it. And I don't know, my personal experience of seeing like friends on it and family on it is not good enough to tempt me. And besides, I don't think this stuff tastes any good. Most of the alcohols I ever drank, like stuff like amaretto or sake, well, I kind of like sake, but it's like I like the taste, but then there's the weird alcohol aftertaste, and I'm like, blech. Can you have like non-alcoholic versions of these beverages? Non-alcoholic amaretto, basically just almond extract, right? Just make an herbal tea and drop a bottle of almond extract in it and call it a day. One tea I really enjoyed, I don't know if I can call it a tea, but I bought it once, and it was cacao nibs from a specific cacao plantation, and they were crushed into like small bits, and you basically infuse the cacao nib, and it makes kind of a clear infusion that tastes a bit like chocolate. It was really interesting, and it was really good. It has a tiny bit of caffeine in it, but it comes from cacao, so that's kind of a different source of caffeine. Is a virgin Bloody Caesar just tomato juice, clam juice? Oh, whoa, Mikey, that's pretty cool. I think the Schmincke 24 color set is really worth it. Yes, it's a bit more expensive, but it will last you a long time, and the colors in it are really good, really useful. You can mix at least 2 grays really easily, and they're beautiful grays. So I really like it. I keep having hiccups. And it has a lot of colors for painting tabby cats as well, which is something I appreciate. What? Ellen's perfect Bloody Caesar recipe. Seasoned salt rim, clamato. I'm not super into clamato. Why put clams in there, guys? Worcestershire, Worcester sauce, Tabasco, Frank's, dill pickled brine, huh? And pickled beans. Really? I've never had pickled beans. I think they kind of look weird. They look soft. Bean has to be crunchy, right? It's the salt in the clams. Ugh. It's not vegan. Not that I am much of a vegan anymore, but clams. They're fantastic. I made my own and they're good. Oh, that's good. That's good. The only ones I saw, they looked rather limp, and it reminded me of canned beans, and I was like, blech. Oh, tomato juice, yeah. I love, I think my favorite one is garden cocktail because it has like all sorts of flavors in it. But yeah. I'm also really, really big on not having a lot of patience for cooking. The only thing I have patience for is sushi, oddly enough. But for everything else, I'm like, oh, well, I could make this really fancy meal or just, you know, skip all these steps and just make it like the really basic stuff that is still tasty. So for the for the bloody Caesars or whatnot would basically be, well, I could also have just a glass of veggie juice with nothing in it. I love making sushi though. I'm also decent at it. I can make a decent roll. I never make it with raw fish though, because where am I supposed to get fresh enough raw fish around here? Hey, it's been a long live stream. I guess I haven't been that super fast and quick, but we had a good chat, right? I'm gonna end this soon because my voice is getting, my throat is getting raw a bit, and I'm like, blah. I'm a hermit, so I don't talk a lot. I think this is the most talking I do in the whole week. Like if you take the rest of the week and you take the live stream, I think the live stream is the most talk I do. Sushi is one thing I have never attempted. Well, we have a good place that makes it nearby as well, but I don't know why. At some point, like we used to have parties with friends where we would make sushis for a bunch of us, and it used to really annoy me because like I didn't know how to make good sushi, and I was like, this is dumb. Why don't we just buy it? But then I got into a mind space. I think it was before the anxiety meds, where I really focused on like I want to watch videos about someone making sushis, and I watched so many of them like on loop, and I absorbed all the techniques I could, and now I can make a decent roll. Yeah, smoked salmon, if you like, oh gosh, what's the word of, muck crab. It's called goberge in French, but I cannot find the word in English right now. But any kind of like cooked fish makes for a really interesting sushi roll. And you can also make really good ones with like avocado, cucumber, veggies. Basically the veggies you can eat, you put them in there. Well, I could make you a really nice veggie roll, Heather. If you like avocado, that's like pretty good. You can make some with, sometimes you can have mango or pineapple or like mandarins in there. I will finish this week. I think it has potential. It's at least a good learning. It was fun to try and dry brush the idea of trees in the back rather than paint every single one of them. That was fun to experiment with, and I'll have to do some more work on the rocks. But I think it's not so bad considering that I was really not in a super creative place to begin with. Canned sardines and anchovies. I tried sardines a couple of times and I really don't like them. Yeah, it's a bit like a foggy forest. If you look, like this was the reference one, so it's kind of like really foggy and backgroundy, but if you consider that I have a really different format, so it's kind of weird. But anyway. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end this here. And I want to say a great big thank you to everyone for being here with me today and with Pico. Over here. Do you want to say boo? Hold on. She said boo, guys. She's a good kitty. So I hope you all have a really nice weekend. Good Sunday, probably, for most of you guys. And yeah, we will see each other next week. And it's been a really great live stream. I will, as soon as I can, I will disable the chat. So don't worry about that. Yeah, I love the sound when waking kitties. It's so cute. And they're like, what, nothing? Okay, back to sleep. So have a great weekend. Take care, everyone. We will see each other soon, and we will have to keep on discussing the possibility of a meetup in Montreal or Toronto or you know, somewhere for all of us Canucks. So have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Heather, for helping moderating the comments when we were talking about unmentionable stuff pets do. And if you're curious about stuff, there is a Discord link in the server for a chat room to talk about more things, and everything's in the description. So yeah, take care, guys, and see you all next week. Bye bye.